I remember myself sitting in the studio in the first day of the war, that in October 7, that terrible Saturday. I was an hour into this event. I already started, giving interviews to, Fox News and CNN and I-24 and many other channels. And I was sitting in the studio and I said, this is also a strategic opportunity for a positive change for the state of Israel and for the region. And I actually said, look, but it requires that Hamas will be toppled down, that Hamas will no longer be able to be a relevant player in the Middle East. And I explained and I said, look, if we topple down Hamas, we are actually totally disrupting the Iranian master plan to become the dominant superpower in the region. The Iranian regime has been advancing that master plan for the last couple of decades, which basically cost the life of hundreds of thousands of people in the region, and a constant violence and destruction in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. Israelis, Palestinians were sacrificed by the Iranians for their own interests. So I said, look, if Hamas, which is a very significant component in this Iranian structure, if Hamas is toppled down, the Iranians, this is a major blow to the Iranians. It's totally disrupting their master plan. And that could be a very significant strategic positive shift for the region. And I'm totally, sticking to that observation. And as I said many times, I hope that this war is going to end up with the end of Hamas as a relevant player. Meaning that doesn't mean that you have to shut down Hamas' last tunnel and to hunt down the last rocket. It means that Hamas, that by the way views himself as a regional player, that Hamas will no longer be a relevant player that can influence. And the condition to make it happen is first and foremost to deprive Hamas from its military spine, because this is the major tool with which Hamas was able actually to influence and dictate its policy. Once you crush, demolish this military spine, you're actually taking away from Hamas its most significant tool. And by doing that, you are making Hamas irrelevant player. And one of the things that came very constantly in the many interviews that I gave and discussions with people and briefings, people says like, yeah, but Hamas is not going to disappear and the ideology is not going to disappear. And I said, that's correct. But that's not the case. I'm always saying, look, Nazism exists. That's not the point. I mean, Nazism exists. But Nazi Germany was defeated in 1945. That's the same with Hamas. The ideology will remain, like the ideology of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But if we topple down Hamas rule, and Hamas is no longer a relevant player, meaning a player that can influence the dynamic, a player that can influence the trajectory of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that is the strategic achievement, because then it is basically totally disrupting the Iranian master plan. It basically presents a totally new horizons for the people of the region, the governments in the region that need stability, like Egypt and Jordan, United Arab Emirates, the Israelis, Palestinians. That will be a positive strategic change. That's what I said since day one of this war, on October 7th. And I said, and I was very clear, but the condition for that is to eliminate Hamas rule in Gaza Strip, to eliminate its military power, making Hamas irrelevant player. That's a must if we want to move forward into more positive trajectory.